Well, namaskar and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And we welcome you to our today's program. Thank you all for coming here. Let me remind you to place your phones on a silent mode before we begin. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the 9th Telecom India Conference workshop on accelerating digital growth and ease of doing business. And this is the technology track. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and join me in welcoming our chief guest, Shri R.S. Sharma, IAS and also Chairperson TRAI. We are also joined here by our guest of honor, Srimati Aruna Sharma, IAS, Honorable Secretary, Department of Electronics and IT, Government of India. Thank you. Let me first invite Shri Randeep Raina, CTO, Nokia, IoT and Cloud to welcome the Honorable Chief Guest, Shri R.S. Sharma with a floral bouquet. Thank you. And to welcome Srimati Aruna Sharma, let me request Shri Jayant Moghe, Practice Head, Mobile Broadband Ericsson India, to present a bouquet and welcome her. And also requesting Shri Chandan Kumar, Director Huawei, to also welcome Srimati Aruna Sharma with the floral bouquet. Now I'll request Shri Ashwin Balal, Partner Telecommunications KPMG in India, to kindly give the opening remarks and take it forward from here.
Car which is driving by itself and then the network goes off, right? So it's very important that we have the right technology, and that's where the topic of 4G and 5G become very topical, right? And along with that, if 5G is going to be a very topical subject, we will have issues around, we will see some issues around spectrum going forward, because already spectrum is scarce. So how do you kind of get a wireless technology, multiple levels of wireless technology rolling out in the country without managing the spectrum issues? So I guess the topic that connects to that is, how do you converge fixed and wireless today? We have a very minimal amount of fixed network today, but how do you explore that and how do you expand that so that the load on wireless technology also going forward comes down, right? In order to do this, and if India were to benefit from this, it's very important to see how a lot of this technology can be developed or maybe even manufactured within our country, right? And how do we, create an environment that can make it easy for the equipment manufacturers of the world and the technology providers of the world to set up shop in India and drive business within India. Some of the key things that I think which are very important if something like this has to happen is, one, having some kind of a preferential market access for somebody to set up and make business very easy in India. Looking at how our whole import duties are structured, what are the equipment which are essential, what can be manufactured in India, and how do we manage the whole duty system. The other most important aspect whenever you are looking at technology expansion is around security. What standards we adopt for security, how are we going to look at network security, because with cyber warfare becoming a reality, how do we manage our security in order to manage our systems much better. Transmission is often something which is not spoken about, but your last mile or your radio is as good as your transmission at the back end. With majority of our network in India still working on microwave, the backbone still relying on microwave, how do we evolve technologies to support a much faster speeds on microwave? So we have E-band, which is globally accepted technology on the microwave transmission, which is aiding to higher speeds on the backhaul. And the last is, if people were to look at India very favorably, then we would need to look at how we look at SEZ policies and how do we lure them to work within India. So having said that, now I will hand over to our moderator for this session, Bharat Bhargava. And Bharat, to you.
Thank you, Ashwin. First of all, I'd like to thank our chief guest, Shri Sharma, for being here, Madam Aruna Sharma for being here. Thank you very much. Sir, madam, if I can request, before the speakers come on and talk about IoT, cloud, 5G, fixed mobile convergence, these are the topics that we have for today. If we can have your expectations of what you would like to hear from the speakers, what you would like to hear from some of the others being discussed, that would be very helpful. So if I can request you, sir, if you can say a few words and set the expectations.
Well, I mean, if you are going to ask me as to what will be the topic of discussion, I certainly sort of agree with you that these are the most topical issues, which is the 5G, IoT, and other issues, criticality, mission criticality of many applications. So I think that will be the way forward to initiate the discussion, in case that's the objective of my request. If your objective is to say whatever I had to say, or whatever I wanted to say in this, then of course I'll probably speak a bit more. So tell me, what is your...
Sir, as we go on, as you know, that this is going to be an interactive session. So obviously we will we will question some of these things that are being brought forward.
Sure.
But is there anything specific that you would like our panelists to cover in this?
No, what I would like is essentially, we have, for example, you spoke about PMA. Now, Mr. Sharma knows that PMA is in place in the electronic sector, and telecom is one of that. So there may be some operational issues relating to PMA, and we will probably like to hear, and maybe she will be more, because that's my previous job, so in some sense that's why I'm sort of saying that. Maybe she will like to hear as to what are the impediments in implementation of PMA, number one. Number two is basically when you talk of spectrum, and the availability of spectrum, and for faster communications, for communications of very low latency, then which are the bands which probably, what will be your thoughts, or what will be the industry's thoughts as to what should be put out there and start getting used? Because my personal belief has been that the spectrum is a resource which is, as you all know, is a perishable resource. So it perishes with time. So suppose we are not putting some spectrum to use, we are not doing a great thing for our country, because ultimately that particular time would have gone, and if you put it for use tomorrow, at least the today's usage would have gone out. Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense to not use any spectrum, because it is not an accumulatable commodity which can, if suppose there's a there's a coal mine, and I decide I'll not use it today, I'll use it after 3 years. You can still, that same coal can be extracted. Yeah. But if there is a spectrum which you decide not to use it today, and do it after 3 years, 3 years will be a different spectrum, a different time. So therefore, we would like to hear as to which are the specific recommendations which can actually improve because ultimately Digital India is very dear to our hearts. Yeah. And all of us want that to succeed. Make in India, Digital India, Skill India, all these, very important programs which the government has launched. Everybody would like to see them succeed. And one of the most important pillars of Digital India, as you all know, is connectivity. And when we talk of connectivity, it is not connectivity only for the purpose of voice, it's connectivity for data, it's very, broadband as a utility to citizens. So these are some of the things, and these are absolute prerequisite for Digital India to succeed. And certainly, we are not today in a situation where we are kind of lagging behind the world in technology, and typically it used to happen that some model of car will come to Europe, and after 3-4 years that model will percolate down to India. Today India is defining technology, India is defining the roadmap for the entire world. So why should why should not we be world class? So if there is some technologies, if there are some applications of technology which are happening there, why can't they happen, and why can't they start happening here? So there is no reason as to why we should be behind in any sense of the term. So whether it is automated cars, 5G, low latency, IoT, and policies there. See, many times what say, oh, you decided about net neutrality. Net neutrality is still a very nascent subject.
That's right.
So why did you do that? And I would say, why? Why should I look for others to decide first and then I will decide? Why can't we be the the first movers in the world? I mean, in what way are we less important? So essentially, there are issues which we are, and we should think much ahead and much more progressive. And in case there are any regulatory impediments, I would certainly like to hear that. And if there are some developmental impediment, I think Mrs. Aruna Sharma would like to hear that as to what those things are. So we are very, very eager to hear the thoughts of the industry, of the experts in this hall, and really to learn from that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam, if I can request you to.
Sure. Thank you so much. While endorsing what Mr. Arish Sharma said, there are a few things I'd like to mention, because basically when we are talking about the entire scenario of going for digital or Make in India and the electronic and IT sector, the penetration and reliability are the two things on which the whole pillar stands. So the various technologies we can talk about for penetration, the alternate technologies, the ensuring reliability, and what he mentioned about microwave last mile is something which we have not tapped as yet. And that is something which is very dear and we must work upon it. Which is something very, very important as we proceed ahead and work upon it. So these are the things which we will be like to know, and what he rightly flagged about the PMA, because we did have a court case about it, and there are some insights we are getting into the whole system on the way the PMA is interpreted. So while we being protectionist and being WTO signatory, we have to strike a balance between the two. So the taxation regime to encourage local manufacture is not a bet which we can play in a long run. There is a limit to how many years we can do. Right. Ultimately, we have to come out very competitive so that the local manufacturing is able to outbeat any import values we are having. So that is something we'll be very keen to listen upon it. What Sir has very rightly said is about the spectrum usages. Which bands we are talking about, and bands in terms of, again, the penetration and reliability. As to different levels, we need different kind of a thing. We need not spend on the bigger bands if the job can be done and which should be released. In Telecom Commission also we debated on this issue. So this feedback would be very, very helpful as we are proceeding ahead on it. On IoT and technology, yes, we are way ahead on it. And in India, we have a strange combination. You will always get a group of people who will be using the latest technology and a group of people who are devoid even of the basic technology. So we have to ensure both at both the ends of the usage spectrum, if I put it that way. So this is something we'll be very keen to understand from all of you. So having said that, on the penetration part, which kind of technologies we have to use and ensure that manufacturing within the country, their usage within the country, and encourage manufacturing within the country, which is having all the security norms. In electronics, I'm still worried because we are still on a self-declaration mode on hazardous material. So that needs to be better defined, and I think we are working with Environment Ministry on that. So that is something very, very important. And second thing is the tiers of security we are putting into whether it's an email regime or whether it's a usage regime or whether it is a communication regime. So tiered is a very high security zone. Somewhere a middle zone will do, and somewhere it's a basics it will also satisfy. So this tiered approach is what we are going fast. So I'd like to get your comments on that also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. I think the expectations are very clearly set. If I may, I thought we should start by IoT and cloud, because these are the enabling technologies for use of any other access technology, whether it is 5G or it is fixed mobile convergence. So let's start with Radeep, who's going to speak about both cloud as well as IoT, which will set the context then for need for more spectrum, need for fixed mobile convergence. And Radeep, my request is if you could address some of the issues that have been raised by Sir. Sure.
Thanks, Bharat. Thanks, Bharat, for setting the context, and welcome Chief Guest Sri Sharma and Ma'am for your initial comments and setting the expectations and tone of this discussion. You're right. I think we are not lagging behind in terms of the technology adoption. And when I was looking at the adoption over the last 10 years, it has been, fantastically too good compared to what we have seen in the Western markets. It took probably, 10 to 12 years for first billion 2G connections to happen. But basis, the pace at which LTE is growing right now globally, we are seeing that, we are already at 300 million subscribers globally. And the pace at which LTE adoption is happening, and the fact that India has also embraced it now, we do believe that we can achieve 1 billion LTE subscriptions in less than 5 years. I think from that standpoint, I think India is very well poised to take advantage of the technological choices that we have made out here in India by allocating spectrum for new generation bands like L1800, and also possibilities of refarming spectrums to use it for new technologies. I think having said that, IoT is now becoming a center stage or a center point of discussion amongst all the operators. And India also is no exception at this stage. While the premise of connectivity or premise of technology was primarily focused on connecting people, now as we look at IoT, cloud, and the way 5G discussions are ongoing, most of these technologies are moving now from connectivity phase to connecting the things. I think that's where we have to really have a discussion in terms of what we need for that to happen. And we do believe that it's going to empower peoples through convergence. And as you rightly said, fixed line convergence, mobile convergence, and we have a lot of alternative technologies available out here which can be used and leveraged to get the IoT to its best destination. I put some slides together to give a perspective of where we are with respect to technology, and then what IoT means and what are the opportunities that lie ahead of us in India. And if you look at this time scale, and over the last 2 decades, we have seen a phase of connectivity where connectivity was more of a status symbol at that point in time, but then it became a human right. And thanks to adoption of GSM and 3G technology, that we could connect almost 3 to 4 billion of people in the last 10-15 years. Now we are moving from that connectivity phase to the next phase, which is engagement economy. And it's primarily because there has been a lot of advent of smartphones that has led to move from connectivity to the engagement economy, because smartphones are enabling people to use more and more data. And then there are applications from Google, Facebook, Skype, where people want to get connected. And that's a phase which is very, very interesting. And coming back to my point, we saw almost 10 to 12 years it took for the industry to get 1 billion 2G connections. But at 300 million subscribers LTE today, we will probably achieve 1 billion subscriptions in next 5 years. So it's much faster than what has happened in the previous past. The next phase that we see is more about transformation. And transformation because the connectivity piece is over as a human right. But transformation is more about connecting things. And that's where we see a whole lot of devices also now playing a part. We believe humans are going to be acting like sensors. And there will be a lot of data that will get generated in the system over time, because people want better lives, they want safer lives, and they want internet on everything. And that's where the phase or the ongoing decade, which is 2010 to 2020, is very, very interesting. And India is also at a point where we have already embraced LTE as a technology, and things like IoT, programmable world, and 5G will shape it up further as we go along. So this transformation journey that we have set from 15 to 2020 is something where there's a lot of new technologies that will get developed or will be adopted, and LTE 5G is going to play a very, very important role there. It's not only about connecting people, but it would be also about connecting things. As I said, while past was about connecting people, now it's about connecting things, and the projections that we see, it's a long journey. I think Internet of Things cannot be achieved in a year or two. it is an evolving phase, and we have to really see how we can embark on the journey. So phase one is many things, so I think that's already happening. We see early symptoms of machine-to-machine happening globally. Some part of that is in India. Connecting things is part two, which is more about connecting devices, sensors, bodies, which transmit data. That data can be accumulated into big analytics, and then that information can be transformed into some intelligence, and then that intelligence can be used to put to use for the best purpose. And then that will lead to the programmable things. I think that's the ultimate destination of IoT going forward. And the sole purpose here has been to make human lives more safe, much better, achieve automation, achieve efficiencies, because the kind of speeds and latencies new technologies will give, we do believe that it will also bring an industrial revolution, because it's not only specific to telecom industry or bodies, but it is opening up opportunities in the
very, very important subject, Chairman also said and Ma'am said. And in fact, I2T Study Group 20 is already grappling with this matter, and all the issues related with interoperability, they are being discussed. And as far as the spectrum is concerned, there was one of the issues Mr. Raina was saying, that regulatory intervention has to be discussed, one of the challenges. So we are going to cover the issue of spectrum, how much of spectrum will be required in India, going forward, and what will be the band in which the operations will take place. Of course, we have identified number of bands and listed out in our consultation paper that I'm saying that will be out early next month. And apart from this, there are issues relating to roaming of the customers, and we are also trying to address even portability, because we find that the quality of service is very, very important issue, and many of the service providers do fail to meet the commitment with regard to quality of service. Some of the services will be mission critical, and the customer will say, no, we are moving over to some other service provider who gives much better service. So portability is again an issue that we are trying to address. So there are a host of issues we are going to cover in our paper. So we'll be very glad that all the people sitting here, especially, unfortunately, there are no service providers, we live in this room, because it will be very important that whatever we lay down as standards, whatever the manufacturers of the technology they commit in terms of specifications, they are actually followed by the service providers. If it does not happen, then whatever we talk in terms of number of users and across sectors, there will be applications and so on, it will never be successful unless the service providers are able to meet the quality of service standards. So we'll be very glad when we come out with the paper and receive a lot of comments from the stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think in the interest of time, if I can now request Chandan to come in, let's look at fixed mobile convergence before we go on to 5G. We can address many of these issues. I think they relate to reliability, they relate to interoperability, perhaps even vendor lock-in is something that's a takeaway for us. We shouldn't have vendor lock-ins. So, Chandan, if you can come.
Just requesting the end some time for the questions.
Yes, of course, yeah. Yes.
This is plug and play, sir.
whilst this is being set up, I think one other point, particularly in IoT, Make in India should be considered, because we should use the resources that we have in India, we should develop technologies in India, and if the costs have to come down, then
Exactly.
we've got to think of that.
It's a very good point, Bharat, you raised up. I think in the last 3 months, I have at least met 20 to 30 local manufacturers who manufacture sensors, objects, devices which are very critical for the uptake of IoT. And I think we need to look at them and see how we can incubate some innovation in these companies and get them to a stage where they could be a big part of the entire ecosystem and play a big role in this stakeholding that we have. So Make in India will certainly help drive this further. And as I said, timing couldn't be any better now that we are in the middle of 4G rollouts and we can still leverage GSM, 3G technologies to get IoT to its first stage of development, and followed by 5G as and when it comes, that will further fuel this, and we can unleash the opportunities that are coming our way.
Thanks, Sandeep. Chandan, if you could be brief so that we have enough time for a healthy discussion.
Sure. Good morning. The topic for my presentation is FMC. So FMC, I think we all are familiar. The first wave of FMC was fixed mobile convergence. But now we are at a stage wherein we are now entering the second wave of convergence, which is fixed broadband, mobile broadband, and content. We talked, like we discussed about, how the, future services will be. And we talked about spectrum. So we think in India, there's a lot of dependency on mobile broadband. It's going forward, we are going to see more and more dependency. So this is the time wherein we need to think about, leveraging the advantages of fixed broadband also. In some of the slides, we will see like where currently we are and going forward, what steps we need to take. Sir, if we look at this current situation, just to set the context, the three stakeholders are at crossroads. Say from government perspective, actually this is the GDP contribution of broadband, the green one. CAGR last 5 years is around 12%, and 6.7% is the whole GDP, CAGR. So it is almost twice the broadband GDP growth CAGR in last 5 years, twice than the CAGR of as a whole. But if you look at some countries wherein the broadband penetration is CAGR of broadband contribution, GDP of broadband contribution as compared to GDP of complete India's GDP. Yeah. So it is almost twice. But if you look at some countries wherein they have good broadband penetration, their CAGR is 7 times. So that is the reason why government is expecting more contribution from this broadband industry, and sufficient steps are being taken. When it comes to user needs ubiquitous high broadband, irrespective of terminals, irrespective of location. And from operators' perspective, their traffic growth is decoupled from revenue growth, because now we are in the data era. So data is growing, but the revenue is not growing at that pace. And of course, the spectrum holding. So these are some of the challenges for different stakeholders. So another interesting figure about the contribution of broadband in India's GDP. I think this is a very familiar graph we see in almost all the conferences. But what we have analyzed is the GDP growth, the contribution of broadband can further be enhanced with the speed. So this, if you look at India, currently the average mobile broadband speed is around 1.8 Mbps, and our penetration is around 12%. So GDP contribution is 2.3%. But if you look at some countries like Korea, wherein the average speed is 70 Mbps, and their broadband penetration is 75%. So their contribution, broadband contribution in the GDP is 10 or 11%. So it is not only the broadband penetration, but we need to focus on the enhancing the broadband speed, so we can have better contribution from broadband or this industry. India's situation is like this, wherein there is unbalancing. Say this one is fixed broadband penetration, and this 12% is the wireless broadband penetration. So there is a unbalancing. But if you look at other countries, it is a balanced approach wherein fixed broadband penetration is also increasing and mobile broadband penetration is also increasing. But interesting figure we can see here is, sir, this is the data consumption. So the gray one, 149 petabit usage is on the mobile broadband, and so almost 5 times consumption happens on fixed broadband in spite of having 1/6 fixed broadband penetration. So whatever fixed broadband penetration is, that actually is offering 5 times, 6 times more, 5 times more data usage on fixed broadband. So that is, it gives an indication wherein we need to further enhance. Yeah. Pardon me, sir?
What is 392?
392 is the fixed IP, like when we say, IP for the corporate and, so, yeah. So another interesting, trend which we observed is when voice services are offered, so around 70% consumption happens indoor, and while 30% outdoor. But for data services, 90% of data, services or data consumption happens indoor, and only 10% outdoor. So indoor coverage, indoor data can very well be offered by fixed broadband. And this is another scenario wherein we can see, sir, 80%, say 20% of the sites, handle 80% of the data. And so these kind of areas can very well be served with the fixed broadband, and spectrum can be freed. And another unique feature of India is population density. So on average, say we have in India 0.09 megahertz per million spectrum availability, wherein in other countries. So we have all these unique features. So reliance on mobile broadband for delivering high speed internet for indoor consumption is not efficient method. And when we talk about telecom industry, we talk about it's a competitive industry and all those things. But in the telecom industry itself, so we have 2 domains. One is the mobile, and the other one is the fixed one. So in mobile, of course, it's a crowded market, more than 8 players, and in urban, tele-density is more than 150%, and the ARPU is very low. But if we look at, sir, the fixed broadband scenarios, wherein pan-India is only 2 operators, and household penetration is 6%, and ARPU is $16. So this is the blue ocean, wherein further this can be developed, and we can reap the results from this. First wave, as we talked, sir, was fixed and mobile convergence, and that was like having a unified communication infrastructure, which offers win-win situations for both consumer and service provider. From consumer perspective, it can get service anytime, anywhere, on any device. From operator perspective, it will reduce the stress on their spectrum and reduce the stress on their access network, and which will result in cost saving by eliminating redundancies in the network, and they can have synchronized network, having single service management, which will further result in lower OPEX. So that was the first phase of convergence, and there were 4 layers. Like in the commercial layer, one service which is bundled, one bill, and when it comes to service integration, one number, one application, one voicemail, and in case of data coverage, one seamless experience. So irrespective of device, a seamless experience can be offered. So that was the first phase of convergence in communication industry. Second phase is, sir, we are moving towards the convergence of fixed broadband, mobile broadband, and content. Because what we feel, sir, the content is next big thing. We have seen, say, data is growing, but the nature of data is also changing, wherein we have observed that 55% of voice traffic in total mobile data. And users, requirement is shifting towards video on demand, wherein in last 5 years we have seen 100,000 OTT applications. And it is expected that video and audio will generate 89% of the internet traffic by 2018. Globally, the top 20 telcos have already started offering a bundled services. Another, sir, key driver for this FMC 2.0 is the advantage of fixed broadband. Like we talked about latency and consistency in the service. So fixed broadband can offer high quality and consistent service by offering very low latency. So that is the advantage of fixed broadband. Another advantage is the lower cost to the consumer. So in India itself, the fixed broadband, is 2 to 3 times expensive or costlier than the, mobile broadband is costlier than the fixed broadband. So that advantage also consumer can get. And then another trend which we are seeing is on fixed broadband, higher consumption happens. Like if you take example of US, average fixed broadband usage is 23 GB as compared to mobile broadband, which is 0.75 GB. So all these are the factors wherein we need to think about having convergence in the broadband aspect from the fixed and mobile. Sir, globally, another trend which you are seeing, how operators are moving towards this convergence. Say these are the broadband service providers, so they are adding content to it. The operators which are offering only broadband, they are adding content to it. Similarly, the content providers adding broadband, they are aggressively moving into the building the broadband infrastructure and providing broadband services as well. Some of the examples are like Sky TV of UK, and say OTT player like Google and Sony, they have started building their own fixed broadband network. Mobile broadband operators are entering into fixed broadband. Some of the examples like Vodafone Global, MTN, China Mobile, they were initially only the mobile broadband providers, but now they have realized that fixed broadband will help them in, to sustain in this market and have, growth in their revenue, so they are adding fixed broadband. Similarly, the fixed broadband providers are adding the mobile broadband, like example is BSNL. Initially was fixed broadband, now they are offering mobile broadband also. So the things or the industry is moving towards this convergence. The example of Sky TV, like we talked about Sky TV in UK, they are the content creator and content distributor. So they captured around 90% of the market and they didn't see much growth in this. So they launched their broadband services. Now they are able to increase their revenues, and they have captured more than 50% of their market after they offer broadband service along with the content. Even they don't mention how much bandwidth they are going to offer. So that is the one case study. And another example I wanted to show here is that, because like we talked about video, in video also now we are moving towards high definition video or ultra definition, high definition video, 4K, 8K. So if you have a movie of say 1.5 hours, and if you have HD video, it can consume around 5 GB kind of data. So downloading that kind of movie on a broadband is really a challenge. On a mobile broadband becomes a challenging. So, sure. So some of the global practices or some of the steps which we can take to enhance the broadband penetration is, we can adopt, macro trenching, micro trenching, which can speed the fiber laying from say 10 meter per day to 500 meter per day. Another one is tying up with MSOs and BharatNet for the last mile. So BharatNet is providing open pipe. So the mobile broadband operators can leverage that infrastructure to have a convergence, to have a fixed broadband in that. Another step could be local loop unbundling, copper local loop unbundling. Like BSNL has a lot of copper.